Hey everybody, welcome to Pack 1 Pick 1 number 202 on the Leek. I'm John as always, and we have another opened pack of Core Set 2020. If you missed last week, I thought I was going to get ahead of myself and record a few weeks of Crack Pack Tuesdays, or Pack 1 Pick 1s rather, to get ready for my wedding so that things could be a little bit easier, and my audio screwed up on 3 of the recordings. So rather than just toss those packs, I'm going to keep them. I've still got the wrappers sitting here, so you can trust me that these were the packs that were actually opened. But yeah, we're going to crack this pack open and see what we would take Pack 1 Pick 1 if this was a draft. Now, these are sponsored every week by the fine folks over at patreon.com/Leek, and everybody at the $5 level or above gets a chance to get all the cards, none of the cards, some of the cards out of the pack each week. And this week, that person is Sam Caesar, so they can let me know if they want some, none, or all of the cards. Up first is Daybreak Chaplain. Daybreak Chaplain is 1 and a white for a creature, human cleric. It's a 1/3 with lifelink. It doesn't do much. It doesn't do much at all. There's not even the dumb large amounts of auras to slam on things like there was in M19 to make her kind of crazy. Yeah, she's just not great. Not a first pick, and generally shouldn't make your deck. Up next is Fortress Crab. It's Daybreak Chaplain times 2, I guess. 3 and a blue for a creature crab. It's a 1/6. With no flavor text. Yeah, this will do a lot more than Daybreak Chaplain usually will. This will hold the ground a lot better. If you are the Flyers deck, it's going to hold the ground while you fly over. If you're the Go Late Blue-Black deck, for example, it'll hold the ground while you get to the late game. But it is not a first pick. If you want one, you'll get one. Up next is Scorch Spitter. Scorch Spitter is a single red mana for a creature elemental lizard. It's a 1/1. Whenever Scorch Spitter attacks, it deals 1 damage to the player or planeswalker it's attacking. It's surprisingly fine. Being an elemental is a big bonus here, obviously, because you're going to get all the various elemental synergies, but it also works really well with Chandra's Spitfire. It works really well with Goblin Smuggler, because this is a guaranteed 2 damage off the attack. Yeah, it's surprisingly fine. It's not a card you're going to go out of your way to pick. It's not a card you're going to go out of your way to play. If you want one, you'll get one. So it's not a first pick. Up next is Inspired Charge. Inspired Charge is 2 white for an instant. Creatures you control get +2/+1 until end of turn. It's a combat trick, but it's a combat trick that ends games. That being said, you do need to be in that go wide deck. If you are not green-white go wide or perhaps red-white go wide, you don't want to be playing this card. And in fact, those decks haven't done amazing in the format in my experience. So I'm not super sold on Inspired Charge really being a solid win condition. So it's never a first pick anyways, but I just avoid the card and avoid the plan. But you can't avoid white forever. Pacifism is 1 and a white for an enchantment aura. Enchant creature. Enchanted creature can't attack or block. It is premium removal. Obviously, there's some extra bonus you can get out of creatures, be it either them being mana sinks or perhaps bone splinters or something like that, which I just realized I reordered this pack wrong. Bone splinters should already be up here. Spoiler alert. Yeah, there's a bone splinters in this pack anywhere somewhere. But yeah, it's solid removal, and in most formats it would be a slam first pick, but in this one, white is not great. But if you're the only person in white, it can actually be great. So it's a real tough line to walk. It's a real big gamble, but currently I'm first picking Pacifism out of this pack. Let's hope we get a better card, a bomb or something. Otherwise, we're going to be walking the white line, which means we need to hope that we get the right cards. Up next is Greenwood Sentinel. Greenwood Sentinel is 1 and a green for a creature elf scout. It's a 2/2 with vigilance. It's utter filler. There's nothing really going on here that's special. You're going to want to play better cards than this. If you have to play this, it's not the end of the world. Not a first pick. Haha, surprise, Bone Splinters. What a shock. Bone Splinters is a single black mana for a sorcery. As an additional cost to cast this spell, sacrifice a creature, destroy target creature. I defend this card every single time it's in a set. People instantly start out thinking, oh, I don't want to sacrifice a creature. That's an awful cost to pay. And I have to remind them, you sacrifice a crap creature to kill a creature that is at least a level, if not 7 levels above crap, and it's going to be great. It costs you a mana. It's totally fine. This format obviously has the bonuses of a pacifismed creature being a great creature to sacrifice, Sanitarium Skeleton being a great creature to sacrifice. It's a totally fine card. It's not premium removal because you might not always be able to have a creature to sacrifice, but it is decent removal. I'll happily play the first one in probably just every black deck. But that being said, I don't really first pick it because it still goes late. Up next is Sorcerer of the Fang. Sorcerer of the Fang is 1 and a black for a creature, human wizard. It's a 1/3. You can pay 5 and a black, tap it, and it deals 2 damage to target opponent or planeswalker. Last week we talked about Spectral Sailor and how amazing it is as a mana sink. This is not, because you have to tap it, which means you're never double activating this. It would also cost 12 mana, which is probably another reason you're never double activating this. But this isn't quite the same power of mana sink as something like Spectral Sailor, just because you are only activating this once a turn, and it's going to take most, if not all, of your resources to do so. I'm not super sold on Sorcerer of the Fang. In some late game decks, it can provide a little bit of extra reach, and I have definitely had to, keep this tapped down with a sleep paralysis or something to avoid dying. But you'll get one of these if you want one. It's never a first pick, and it's never even a high pick. Up next is Centaur Courser. Centaur Courser is 2 and a green for a creature Centaur Warrior. It's a 3/3 with flavor text. It's shockingly good. I remember this card being super good in Theros, and it's super decent here. A 3/3 for 3 is just not stats that we usually get. We're used to 2/2s for 2, but for 3, we way more frequently get 3/2s or 2/3s, which are not as good as just a straight up 3/3. Centaur Courser is a totally fine card. You should pick this upper middle of the pack. I would not pick it over Pacifism, so we're not going to keep it in frame. But yeah, it's a good card, despite being just a vanilla creature. Up next is Befuddle. Befuddle is 2 and a blue for an instant. Target creature gets -4/-0 until end of turn. Draw a card. It's okay-ish. I'd still prefer not to play this if I can handle it. It's kind of a fog, because you're usually going to use it to stop some damage coming through. It replaces itself, which is way better than a fog, and you can use this during combat so that your creature lives and theirs still dies. So it is definitely better than a fog. Don't jump into the comments. I know you're already down there, but it's not great. You're not going out of your way to play this. You shouldn't be picking this highly, and you should be cutting this as probably often as you can. It's just meh to Befuddle. On to the uncommons. That means no foil in this pack. Our first uncommon is Blight Beetle. Blight Beetle is 1 and a black for a creature insect at uncommon. It's a 1/1 with protection from green, which means it cannot be damaged, equipped, enchanted, targeted, or blocked by green. Creatures your opponents control can't have +1/+1 counters put on them. That means if they have them on it and you play this, they still keep them, but no additional ones can be put onto it. I don't care for this card. I super don't. In the main deck, you're playing a 1/1 for 2 against decks that may just go, okay, whatever, because there's not that many counters, and your opponent might not be green. Even if they are green, they can go over this, around this, through this. It's not really impeding anyone, and it's not doing anything. I don't care for Blight Beetle. I'm never picking it. I'm never playing it. Our next uncommon is Ironroot Warlord. Ironroot Warlord is 1 green/white for a star 5 creature Treefolk Soldier. Ironroot Warlord's power is equal to the number of creatures you control. Pay 3 green/white, create a 1/1 white soldier creature token. This card's real good if you're in green/white, if you're going wide. Again, it's not the strongest color combination, but if you get everything, which includes the Warlord, then it can actually be pretty darn good. You could have that inspired charge. You can get there that way. So it's an interesting dilemma here. Do you take the Pacifism or do you take the Ironroot Warlord? And I think the Ironroot Warlord would generally just wheel enough, at least in the real world, not necessarily on Arena, that I think you still take the Pacifism first out of this, but I'm actually not sure. But it's going to stay in frame. Our final uncommon is Sky Knight Vanguard. Sky Knight Vanguard is red-white for a creature human knight. It's a 1/2 flyer. Whenever it attacks, it creates a 1/1 creature soldier token that's also attacking and dying 99% of the time. I don't really care for Sky Knight Vanguard. I don't think it's any good. It's a 1/2 flyer for 2, which is fine. And that 1/1 is just so unimpactful 99% of the time. Your opponent has to be doing literally stone nothing for that 1/1 to be getting through and actually doing something. So I don't really like Sky Knight Vanguard. I don't pick it. I don't play it. Out of the frame you go. Our rare, I think, solves all questions. Embodiment of Agonies. Embodiment of Agonies is 1 black for a creature demon. It's a 0/0 flying death toucher, and it enters the battlefield with a number of +1/+1 counters on it equal to each different mana cost, not converted mana cost. So 2 black, and two black and one black are different. This is new. I don't believe this has ever been printed on a card ever, and it's kind of a cool idea. It's kind of a cool new design space. This card's totally fine. The trick is that you do not think of this as a 3-drop, because on turn 3 this is probably a 0/0. Maybe it's a 1/1. Maybe a 2/2, and you don't want to be paying this much mana for that. You really should treat this as a 6 or 7 drop that happens to cost 3 mana. This card just does work. I've played it a number of times, and it's just super solid because it's a flying Death Toucher. It's going to hold the sky/ground if it needs to, and if it doesn't need to, it's going to attack in for some damage. So I'm pretty happy picking the Embodiment of Agonies here. I think it's the clear first pick. We have a dual land and a token as well. If it wasn't there, I think it's a relatively easy pacifism because I think this Warlord might come back around, but I'm taking the Embodiment. As always, let me know in the comments down below what you would pack one, pick one to yourself. You can always find me over on Twitter, Twitch, and Facebook. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, you can find me at patreon.com/ShamanLeek. If you want to become a backer at any level, at the $5 level or above, you get your chance to get all the cards out of the pack each week, as Sam did this week. You can always go over to inkedgaming.com, use the promo code ManaLeek10, all one word, 10 is the number, to get 10% off your order and help the channel out that way. And of course, the easiest, the cheapest way to help me out is that thumbs up button, subscribe, and share. As always, if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, let me know. Otherwise, see y'all next time.